Could you use the secrets to youthful energy and living with vitality? That's the topic that we're going to address today on Flourish-Meant. And I have a special guest with me today. Her name is Shemane Nugent, and she has been a fitness expert, a podcaster, and a best-selling author. For over 40 years, she's been in this space, and she lives with her rocker husband, Ted, and their dogs, doing some hunting things and some other health things there in Texas. Welcome, Shemane. I am delighted to share your very important message on Flourish-Meant today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Tina. I appreciate it.
Let's talk about the person listening or watching that is feeling stuck and they're shaming themselves for not being able to exercise, to get healthy, to eat well, all of those things. And you seem like someone that comes naturally to, but you have some tips on how to make this easy. Can you share some practical advice for that person who feels that maybe this is just not going to happen for them?
Well, it will happen no matter what stage of the game. Again, I hate to keep bringing my mom into this, but she had a stroke. Her right side was paralyzed. This has been a very difficult time for her, but every day she's showing signs of improvement, and she's now able to walk with a walker, and she's gaining strength. So if you look at the big picture, like let's just say I want to lose 30 pounds. I know what that's like. It doesn't happen overnight. 70% of Americans make New Year's resolutions, but most of us don't stick to them. Why? Because we can't lose 30 pounds overnight. We basically have to reverse engineer and go, okay, number one, let's set a goal. Maybe there is a holiday that you want to go on. You want to get in a bathing suit and walk on the beach, or a wedding or something like that. That's very inspiring. Having that goal, you can set little goals, like losing 2 or 3 pounds per week. But you have to reverse engineer. And again, it's not going to happen overnight. So what are some of those things that you can do? Number one, where you are in your journey in health is exactly where you're supposed to be. And I will walk with you. I want to be your cheerleader. I want to help you. I've seen too many people. I've taught thousands of fitness classes over the years. And I see people go all out, and then they get exhausted, and they lose hope, and they lose faith. If you set your mind to realistic goals, one of the things I talk about every day, it's a 40-day devotional, day number 3, GEAR. So it's an acronym. So G stands for get ready. Again, let's say you want to lose weight. You don't know where to start. Get ready. Do your research, get your workout clothes organized, meaning do your tennis shoes fit you? Do you have comfortable exercise clothing? Set the clothes out. Let's say you decide, okay, I'm going to start going to the gym 2-3 times a week. Set those clothes out the night before. So they're either in your car ready to go, or they're right on your nightstand or wherever. You can just grab them and go. Everything is organized. E, the acronym GEAR, E is equip yourself. Get those things that you need. Maybe you want to work out from home. You need some dumbbells or a yoga mat, or again, better running shoes or something like that. Equip yourself. You can go up to the next level, and I have different levels here. Like the basics are what you need. If you want to get more in depth, you could get a kettlebell or stability ball. If you really want to go all out, you can get a treadmill, something like that. So I walk you through, Tina, every step of the way. The A is very important. Probably the most important thing is having attitude. And again, one of the things my mom, I am so proud of her, because whenever the physical therapist would come and help her, she spent 20 days in the hospital. She was determined, I'm going to get out of this wheelchair, this bed, whatever. She had, the physical therapist actually said to my mom, you're trying too hard. But my point is, she has that attitude that I'm going to get through this. So if you set yourself up for a fall and you believe the doubt, you believe that Satan is trying to kill, steal, and destroy you, which he is. But if you believe those doubtful messages that he puts in your head, I've never worked out before. I'm not going to be able to lose weight. I don't know what I'm doing. You got to have the right attitude. And then R is for routine. It's important to know what kind of routine you're going to give yourself. Again, you can't just go, I'm going to run a marathon and I've never run a mile. You've got to have a routine, a warm up, do some cardio, strength training, and a cool down. And surround yourself with people who might know a little bit more about it. Hire a personal trainer if you can, or go to a gym. Nowadays, you can get a gym membership for $10 a month. And they love to help people. I know, because I've worked at gyms all my life. If you came up to me and said, hey, I don't know what this machine is. It looks like some kind of torture chamber. Can you help me? I'd go, absolutely. I'm here to help. So I think that's really important.
Let's talk about attitude just a minute. When it comes to feeling depressed and having actual clinical levels of depression, sometimes attitude is not as easy to just flip around. How would you speak to that person who's really mired in that depression cycle that's keeping them from taking the steps that they need? When they get discouraged, it's very hard to bounce back.
I understand that all too well, because I write about in both my books, Killer House and Abundantly Well, in several situations in my life where I was betrayed in business and in my relationships. And I remember feeling so depressed that I wanted to end my life. And then I remembered my son, that I had a young son and I could never do that to him. So I understand what that's like, Tina, I really do. And having faith for me is everything. Having hope that there's a greater plan. God loves you. God has a better plan for you. And sometimes we don't always see it. It's hard. When I got sick and almost died, we lost everything. We lost our home, all of the contents in it. I didn't have scissors. I didn't have towels. We moved into a new home and I wasn't feeling well. And it can be very daunting. The most important thing to do for me was having faith. And whenever I doubt myself, I remember the devil comes to steal your health, steal your emotions, to destroy your family, and to kill you. And how does he do that? But with planting negativity in your mind. You're not good enough, Tina. You can't do that. You shouldn't be working out. In both of my books, I write about spiritual warfare, and we need to equip ourselves. Ephesians 6:10 through 18 talks about we do not battle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against authorities, against the powers of this dark world, against spiritual forces of wickedness. Is that doubt not spiritual forces of wickedness? So I go into great detail about that. And you can't snap out of it overnight. Maybe you can. That's awesome if you can. But it's a marathon. It's a long haul. And having gear, going back to that acronym, get your gear ready. Whether you like it or not, get your tennis shoes ready. Put your tennis shoes on, set your timer, tell everybody I'm going out for a walk, and go do it. It's like me. I teach group fitness classes. I'm teaching a class tomorrow, and I have a lot of things on my plate right now. I'm also filming a documentary this weekend. I have no time. But that time that I'm teaching, I signed up for voluntarily. I love it. I love doing it. But once I set my timer, I'm going to the gym at this time. No ifs, ands, or buts. I have to be there. I love it. It's fuel for my mind, body, and spirit, because during that hour that I'm teaching, I can't think about my problems. I have to think about, oh, Susie isn't bending her knees enough. Or is the temperature okay? Or, we have to distract ourselves too from that negativity. And in work, in things that are creative, like writing a book or making a documentary or exercising or volunteering our time with, helping out at a children's hospital or an animal shelter, getting out of our heads. That's one of the things that helps me a lot. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate the question. I hope that answered it somewhat. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
There are disciplines that come with also eventually experiencing that joy, but it's not all about difficult disciplines. Some of these things come with grace, and you and your husband are involved in hunting, which is mostly red meat, right? So I'm wondering how people can learn from that and say, maybe the things that I think I'm going to have to restrict myself from aren't necessarily out of the question when I'm aging gracefully and getting fit. Can you have red meat? Can you have treats? Can you have some of these things that people normally would say you can't? And I have to go into that a little bit. My son is an avid hunter and works for Bagheera Rifle. So he is out there getting red meat all the time. So can we have that? Is that okay?
I eat red meat every day, and I talk about in my book. I talk about my diet, but it's not necessarily good for everybody. My son was a vegan for about 10 years. Now he eats fish. So whatever. Here's a salad. We can all agree on that. You know what? I think all of our bodies are different. Our environments are different. Toxic mold and environmental illness and Lyme disease will weigh heavily on us and cause us to react differently to different foods. Our genetics are different. So for me, I eat red meat every day. When I was at the Environmental Health Center in Dallas, I people found out that I was a hunter and a bow hunter. And it was kind of like I was not saying I was. So hopefully people don't just take this out. Kind of like I was a drug dealer. People came up to me, kind of whispered, "Can you get us some venison? Can you get you're both there? I won't tell them the other 20 people that want it." So with venison, we know that what happens for animals, what happens for us, that's good, is also good for animals. For example, if we don't fill our bodies with chemicals and foods that are in a box on a shelf for months or even years, pesticides, and who knows what else is in it, toxic ingredients, man-made chemicals. Same is good for animals. If we exercise, our bodies are healthier. Same is for animals. So you're talking about, let's say, a white-tailed deer. Venison is also known like elk and white-tailed deer, fallow deer, so many different types of animals. But let's say we're talking about a deer specifically. A deer actually gets to run free and roam and eat grass that hopefully doesn't have chemicals and pesticides in it. They haven't been shot up with antibiotics. They've had the chance to get vitamin D from the sun and roam free. So they are the animals. The meat, the venison that we ingest is actually healthier. For me, and I've done some research on this, I have had some autoimmune diseases, issues, rosacea, and a few other things, but it clears up when I stick to basically a carnivore diet. So again, I'm not saying that everybody should do that. I just know for me, when I minimize carbohydrates, I try to avoid all toxic chemicals, but you go out to eat. You can't. You absolutely can't 100% of the time. But we know that, chips aren't good for us. Twinkies aren't good for us. Sodas aren't good for us. White sugar, white flour. So let's just get rid of those and focus on God food. In whether it's from a hoof, the ground, the tree, or something God made, not man made. That's what I think we should all be going for.
That's a great clarification. And I know that you have a wealth of wisdom in that treasure trove of your book, Abundantly Well. How can people get a copy of that and stay connected with you and all the other wonderful resources that you have to offer?
Well, thank you. The book is available right now for pre-sale, and I would love it. It would mean so much to me if even though you say pre-sale and I don't get it now, I know how quickly time flies. And when there was a book coming out by an author that I really loved and it was months down the road, I remember thinking, I'll just wait and order it. Well, the time comes when the book is available and maybe it's not available for some, maybe they run out of copies. If everybody watching this could go to Amazon right now and pre-order Abundantly Well, then it comes out in January, you just get it shipped right to you. So it's like, you don't even have to think about it. And also that helps the algorithm. So other people will, again, I like to help people. More people will know about it. So they can get both of my books, Killer House and Abundantly Well, on Amazon. Killer House is available right now. That I wrote that a couple of years ago. And my website, ShemaneNugent.rocks, and my Faith and Freedom podcast that's on Real America's Voice. And it goes live every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern on realamericasvoice.com. But you can watch it anytime if you go to Real America's Voice. And I have clips of that on my social media, on Instagram and on Facebook and even on X and YouTube.
I hope that all of you listening feel equipped, informed, and encouraged to go live abundantly well and get a copy of Shemane's book and access all of her wonderful resources that she has to offer. And of course, I also hope that you will come back for the next episode of Flourishment.